Hello and welcome to Wings of Eagles broadcast. I'm Don Steiner and we're talking about the parables of Jesus. There's 39 parables in the Bible, and the parables that we're outlining in this segment are parables on service and obedience. And so today I want to go to Matthew chapter 25. We're talking about the three servants, parable of the three servants. And so let's jump in verse number 14. Again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 1 bag of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. Then he left on his trip. Now, we're going to stop right there. So this is Jesus talking about the kingdom of heaven. He's talking about people in the kingdom of heaven, like believers, you and me, people who are believers in the kingdom of heaven. And if you're not a believer, stick around. You'll be able to have an opportunity to ask Jesus Christ to come into your life. It's very simple. It's a free gift. But this parable is specifically talking about the kingdom of heaven and believers in the kingdom. So he said that everyone in the kingdom has abilities. And the king, this master of this nobleman left, and he left his servants with money, bags of silver. Some translations say gold, some say talents, whatever it was. He left them with enough money to go out and do things with that money. And so this is how it is in the kingdom of heaven. All of us have a talent. All of us have something that we can do. It says right here, very clearly, each one according to his ability. One person I have a friend of mine that has $1 billion a year business. Well, I don't have that ability. I can't do that. I don't understand how to run that kind of a business, but he seems to do it with ease. Now, he has challenges and stuff, but he completely trusts God in everything that he does. And so it's amazing how he can do that. Now, I had a business and I ran that business, and God gave me the talent to run that. So each according to his ability. You have an ability, my friend. There is something that God has called you to do. There is something that is within your hand. Now let's continue. Verse number 16. The servant who received the 5 bags of silver began to invest the money and earned 5 more. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid the master's money. After a long time, their master returned from his trip and called them to give an account of how they had used the money. The servant who had entrusted 5 bags came forward with 5 more and said, "Master, you gave me 5, I invested them, and now I have 5 more." The master was full of praise. "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You've been faithful in the small amount, so now I will give you more responsibility. Let's go celebrate together." The servant who had 2 bags of silver came forward and said, "Master, you gave me 2, I've invested, and I have 2 more. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." And then the one who had the 1 bag of silver said, "Master, I knew you were a harsh man, investing crops you didn't plant and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here's your money back." And so the master replied, "You wicked and lazy servant. If you knew I had harvested crops I didn't plant and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it." Then he ordered, "Take this money from the servant and give it to the one with the 10 bags of silver. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given to them, and they will have an abundance. But those who do nothing, even what they have will be taken away. Now throw this useless servant into the outer darkness where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And so we need to understand here, like I said in the beginning, God gives you according to your own talent. So you can't go to God and complain, "This is too much, this is too heavy, this is more than I can handle." God is very promising in other scriptures in the Bible that he will not give you more than you can handle. You will not be even tempted beyond what you can say no to. Did you know that? Did you understand that that's part of the promise of a believer in the kingdom of heaven? That temptation won't come to you beyond what you can say no to? You can say no. You can say no to sin. You can say no. And then God won't ask you to do something that's beyond your ability. Now, let me say this. He'll give you something that seems like it's beyond your ability. He'll ask you to do something that seems like it's more. When I first came into the kingdom of heaven, the Lord had called me into missionary aviation. Well, I had no money, I had no airplane, I had nothing. And my wife and I literally rented an airplane on a credit card to take our first load of medicine into Mexico. And this was way beyond me. The owner of the airplane graciously said I could do it. He did fly with me. He went with me, my wife and I and him. We loaded the airplane full of medicine. And it was a miracle thing. We landed in Mexico and we were welcomed by the Mexican government. And for 15 years, we flew medicine and medical supplies into Mexico. Well, in the beginning of that, I had no concept of how to do this. I had never flown an airplane in Mexico, over the mountains, over some of the biggest mountains down in Oaxaca, Mexico. And God literally showed me step by step by step how to do it. And for 15 years, that door was open and we flew medicine. Over 80 churches were planted by the missionaries down there using that medicine to go up into the mountain villages. An amazing feat. But in the beginning, when he asked me to do it, I didn't know how to do it. I just took one step. I just did what God asked me to do. Take a step. Take one step. And God is asking some of you to do things that you still have not done your whole Christian life. And what are you? You're this wicked and lazy servant that's done nothing with the talent God is giving you, and he's going to take it away from you in the end. And you're going to find out that the harvest that you thought you might have from doing nothing is not going to be there. And so, my friends, God's asking us, what is it that he's given you? I'm asking you, what is it that God's given you that you have not been faithful with? Or have you been someone who has been faithful? Listen, God's not finished with you yet. My wife and I are on a transition period even right now, where we're actually going to move down to Mexico, a whole new phase of life. We have no clue what's going to unfold or how God's going to do things down there. We're just obeying that he said to do this. And so we're taking the talent that we have with us down there, and we'll continue to multiply what we have down there. My friends, this is what God's asked you to do. It's not a joke. It's not a game. He's asking you to get up, rise up, move into the giftings and the callings that God has equipped you with and given you, so that you too can receive rewards, so that you too can bring in a harvest, not only a harvest of souls, but a harvest in the kingdom of heaven. You know, we work really hard all of our life to try and earn a 401k or retirement. We hear about, I'm at 62 years old. I'm at the age where I'm hearing all people retiring and stuff, and their investment strategy and all this stuff. What about your investment strategy in the kingdom of heaven? That's the only one that's going to matter. Because in the end, all of this is going to fade away. There's going to be nothing left. And so this parable, as we see it unfold, the gifts that were given to these men represent their time, their talent, their abilities. And everything that God has given you represents your time, talent, abilities. Everything that you have has been given to you by God. And he expects you to use it in the kingdom of heaven. I can't be more clear than that, my friends. If you're doing nothing for the kingdom of heaven, then you are this wicked and lazy servant. It's time to rise up. It's time to move. It's time to make a choice. Whatever you find yourself doing, you do it as unto Jesus. You say, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get started. Listen, whatever you're doing, do it unto the Lord. If you go to work, do it as unto the Lord. Well, no, we can't talk about Jesus at work. Oh, I'm sorry. There's somebody there that wants to hear your message, and you can go out on your lunch break. You can pray for somebody. You can pray for a friend. They can know that you are a Christian. I had a cleaning business for more than 20 years, and I promise you, there wasn't one person in my cleaning business that didn't know that I was a strong, Bible-believing, God-fearing Christian. Everybody in my business knew it. Everybody in all of my clients knew it. Was I able to pray for people in those buildings? Sure, I could pray for people. Could I go get one of my clients and drag them off their job and pray for them? No, I couldn't. That was unacceptable. But I sure let my witness and my talents be known. People knew who I was and where I stood in the kingdom of heaven. And that's what God's asking of you today too. Do people know? Do your neighbors even know? Do you know your neighbors? My friends, where you're planted is where God's called you to be. I started a home group in my neighborhood many years ago. And through that home group, our neighborhood grew and grew and grew, and people got saved. And our neighborhood came to know of a neighborhood of love and acceptance, and people in our neighborhood cared for each other, loved each other, because we started something. But when I first moved there, our neighbors didn't even talk to each other. My friend, God's planted you somewhere, and He's asking you to use the talent and abilities that He's given you to move forward and to advance the kingdom of heaven. It's selfish to refuse to do nothing as God has given you so much. I want to say that again. It's selfish to do nothing. It's selfish to sit around and say, I have nothing to do for God. That's selfishness, my friend. And we cannot have that in the kingdom of heaven. I know this may sound like a strong message, but listen, we don't have that much time left. I'm convinced that the clock is moving very rapidly toward the end time. And even if Jesus comes, waits and tarries and doesn't come in my lifetime, I still have to be accountable. Their end will come for me when I close my eyes for the last time. When you close your eyes for the last time, the end will come for you. And your race will be over. And then you will be before your Creator with whatever talents that you were given to see if they were multiplied. And if you show up there with your one little talent that you buried in the sand because you were afraid of God, because you didn't trust God, because you didn't believe God, because you didn't think God could do what He's asking you to do, and you didn't think you could do what He was asking you to do, and you were afraid, you can have every excuse in the book. But God is asking you, where are you when walking with me? Work in the kingdom of heaven, kingdom of God, always produces results. It always brings an increase, always. You will always increase when you begin working in the kingdom of heaven. You cannot fail. It is an investment strategy that you cannot fail in. You will multiply some 30, some 60, some 100-fold. I mean, they would love to have that kind of results in the stock markets. That if you invest, you are guaranteed 30, 60, 100-fold increase. That's not the way it is in the world. But in the kingdom of heaven, you will always increase. Just get started, my friend. Just get going, get going. Take some groceries to your neighbor. Tell your neighbor hi. Just start a conversation. Everybody has a spot where they could love. And they need to see the love of Jesus in you. My friend, start. His return is soon. Work hard, love others, give faithfully, because your reward depends on it. My friend, it's time to start. It's time to do it. Pray with me right now. Jesus, I thank you that you give me that opportunity to run with you and to stand strong in your kingdom and do what you've asked me to do. And if you don't know Jesus, just say, Jesus, come into my heart. The Bible says, whosoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. That's you right now, my friend. Just call on the name of the Lord and watch Jesus take over from there. God bless you guys. Know that we're praying for you and we love you, and we'll see you in the next video.